Welcome everybody. I was hoping it'd be warmer, but that's okay. This is Nebraska, so we never know what is going to happen. So my name is Opal. I'm from First United Methodist Church, and I am a certified candidate for ordination in the Great Plains United Methodist Conference, which really just means I pass the psychological checks and interviews to be like, yes, we like you, now finish school.
Those are important.
So I'm also finishing my undergraduate at UNO. Sometime last year, I read the book Church of the Wild by Victoria Lours and absolutely fell in love. It felt in line with my calling, and so I started getting it together, and then Juniper reached out and asked to be a part of it, and I was so excited, and I'm so excited you guys are all here.
Yes.
So just a couple of little housekeeping. If there is an order of service that is printed, there's a couple printed copies. I didn't want to go crazy on the printed copies because trying to still be eco-friendly. So you can also scan a QR code and that'll pull up a digital copy. In the little pink packet down there, there's also like listening agreements as well as the little blurbs about both Juniper and I. But I just wanted to welcome you all. I'm so glad you made it in the cold. And thank you for coming.
Indeed.
Yes, so we will lead and start by coming to a centering prayer and center ourselves in this space, and we will open to the mystery of life, the creator, the source of all that is in between and within all things.
Now, friends, I invite you to turn your attention to, one second, that's north, south, north, yep. South, east, west. I looked at my phone earlier. We got this. So I invite you can rise and turn your body if you want, or you can just turn your attention. We turn to the west, the direction of the setting sun, the descent into shadow and mystery, knowledge and wisdom, loss and grief. Associated with that sacred element of water and the transition of autumn, we are reminded to release what no longer serves our soul's path, what no longer serves the common good. With gratitude, we invite the mystery, that great river of life that brings endings and death to what has been, to allow for what is yet to come. We extend our hands and hearts and blessing to the humans, to the lands and the creatures of the West.
I invite you to turn to the north.
To your right.
We turn to the north, associated with darkness of midnight, hardship, the sacred rough phases in our life that challenge us into maturity and purpose. North is that point in between destruction and creation where we can see conflict and darkness as a doorway to transformation. Associated with the season of winter, our ancestors, and the sacred element of earth, we are reminded of the firm foundation beneath us. With gratitude, we acknowledge that we belong to this earth, that we are called to fully embody our souls for the great healing and transformation of the world. We open to the hidden gifts within the cycles of death and rebirth and extend blessings to the peoples, lands, and creatures of the north.
We turn to the east, the direction of the rising sun, the emergence of new life and new vision, abundance and dignity, associated with the light of the spring, which we come to celebrate today, and that sacred element of air. We are reminded that the very breath we take is sacred. Breathe in and exhale, tuning in to your connection with the trees. With gratitude, friends, we participate with the natural flow of reciprocity that flowers prosperity and renewal for all. We extend blessings to the peoples, lands, and creatures of the East.
Turning to the south, the direction of the noonday sun, full growth, our inner fire and full embodiment of our life lived in a body in relation with all things, the expression of life, one through music, poetry, and our innate creativity. Associated with the season of summer and the sacred element of fire, we are reminded of our own creative spark within. With gratitude, we open our soul song and our inner fire and extend blessings to the people, lands, and creatures of the South. Above, look up to the mystery of the universe, the stars we can't see right now because of the miracle of the sun. Imagine the miracle of our atmosphere regulating heat and climate. Recognize the limitless miracle of planets and universes and galaxies engaged in a cosmic conversation, keeping all things working together. Look up. We remember that we are expansive too, interconnected with a system of life containing a much larger purpose than we realize.
Look down, below, touch the ground if you wish, friends. Might be a little dirty, but imagine those roots interconnected with all other living beings rooted in the soil. Imagine the bugs, the mycelium that keep this region and its ecology healthy, transporting nutrients and transmuting death from one creature into life for another. There is a conversation going on beneath our feet at all times, connecting all things, even us. Imagine the waters flowing deep down beneath us, and beneath that, the core of fire that animates all that is alive, all that is conversing with one another, keeping alive a system that we all participate in.
Within and between. Now we face the center within and the in-between, with gratitude for the living system inside you that keeps you alive. Your cells, nervous system, bones, organs, water, blood, and then deeper inward to your own sacred and sovereign center, where your DNA and the creativity of the universe has knit together a unique and important human who belongs here and is needed here. Listen in on that conversation within you, not the one that chatters with you to do lists, old stories, and self-criticism, but the deeper conversation, the one that calls you to inner silence and stillness. It is here you realize your divine nature, the Christ within you, the spark of the divine within you, and we turn toward one another and bow in recognition of the sacred in each of us and in all things.
Song?
And now we'll go into the song.
Song. You may be seated if you want to, friends, or stay standing if you like. I know a lot of our friends from second. Oh, hi, y'all. Welcome. Just in time. Might know this one. This is Holy Now by Peter Meyer. The lyrics are on your order of service, but all you really need to know is everything is holy now. When I was a child each week, Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread, and every head would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the times Moses split the seas in two, Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. How about a little bridge? Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles and find where there isn't one. And holy water was rare at best. I could barely wipe my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath, like I'm swimming in a sea of it. Used to be the world half there, having second-rate hand-me-down. Now walking with the reverend dead, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face. Say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning comes. You say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head, and I remember when church let out how things have changed since then, 'cause everything is holy now. Used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, as I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now, holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Thanks, y'all.
The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. When Juniper came to me and shared with me the song Holy Now by Peter Mayer, welcome! I was absolutely enamored. I actually had not heard that song before, and I've been listening to it on repeat. And I will say that the second that I got home, I started listening to it, and I was bawling. And the reason for that is because I just felt it so deeply and what I feel in this space. So for my story today, I just want to tell you a story about a little girl. She's a very, very strange little girl. Talked way too much, didn't have a lot of friends, but never considered herself alone because she always had the trees and the squirrels and the animals to keep her company. One time when she was around 9 or 10 years old, she was laying on the floor of her bedroom in a patch of light, and the sun got really warm and the light got really bright. She didn't open her eyes. There were no clouds, so there was no fluctuation in light. But two things happened in that moment. Two things she knew with utmost certainty. Number one, God exists. Spirit exists. And a higher power of some kind exists. And number two, that spirit is one of love. Pure, wild, unabashed love. And she knew in that moment that she was meeting God. And she would tell anyone she would meet about it and carry on with this frolicking delight at the spirit and how in love she was. And at the time, she only had Christian theology and the words to say, well, the Jesus message matched the God of love she had met. So that is where she went. And she grew up and she went to high school and she met institutionalized religion. And she went, I'm sorry, what? Historical institutionalized religion and what was being taught did not match the God she had met, the God she knew, the God of love. The divisiveness, the anger, the judgment, the condescension was not the God she had met. So she walked away, 2 fingers blazing. They were the middle fingers. She didn't walk away from God because she was never far from Spirit, but she definitely walked away from the church. Unfortunately, she also went through some incredibly traumatic experiences and almost didn't make it. But one of the things that kept her going through that was that moment in the sun as a child where she knew God existed. That was the light when she fell into the caves of life's mountain climb that kept her going. And when she got out and she found a space, a church that seemed to walk the message of love and Christ that she believed as a child, she fell back into her calling. She started looking for God. And one of the things she learned was that she had seen God all along. In the darkest places, when she was living in a homeless shelter, she saw God in the faces of the people in the shelter. When she was riddled with her own addiction, she saw God in the faces of the addicts around her. She saw God in the margins everywhere she looked. And as she continued to grow and find her path forward, she realized that that message of God didn't require her to stop teaching the message of God or the message of Spirit or whatever is comfortable, because one of the other things she learned is she doesn't think that the label really matters as much as the feeling, that words don't matter as much as the spirit of love underneath.
Amen.
And so as she got out of her wintering season and into her own blooming joy, she found God everywhere and she wanted to share it. Now, if you haven't figured this out by now, that's me. I am the weird little girl. I am also the weird adult. Nothing changed. And when I was in the margins and now, I have never stopped seeing Spirit all around us. I've never stopped feeling the love in my life and in others. And I think in the world that we're in right now, it feels like a dark winter. It feels like we're cold and surrounded by divisiveness, misunderstandings, systems of control and power trying to dominate, and we're separated by it. And one of the things I hope as we develop our own wild worship and go throughout the year is that it is a place of community, of love, that the people who come can see the face of God in others as well, or whatever terminology you are comfortable with. Because I can tell you that I never left God. I can't do the third person thing anymore. I never left God or Spirit. I just looked elsewhere. I looked in Celtic spirituality, paganism, Wicca. Where could I find God? Because the church was not necessarily holding it for me. But then I realized also people are messy. It's just
Shocking.
who they are. But getting through the messy and coming to a place of community is how we grow and bloom. And I am so excited to grow and bloom.
Amen. Oh, Lordy, if you're from Second Unitarian, you've heard this story before. We talked about it on Imbolc. It is not Imbolc in the broader wheel of the year that's observed by pagans and earth-centered folks. It is Ostara. Not a lot to say about Ostara, though, other than there might be some etymological relationship to Easter. I think of Ostara kind of like Imbolc Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. The victory of Imbolc, the spring's promise realizing itself. Believe it or not, I mean, the ice is melting, y'all. It's happening. But this is a story from old Scotland told in many, many different ways. This version is by Christine Irving, adapted, but it tells the story of an old Mother Winter called the Cailleach, who held court over the winter season and how she was usurped, in a sense, by the bride. So hear this tale, old and new. Far away, long ago in the folds behind Ben Nevis, ancient Hyperborea, lived a queen who knew her land, root to highest heaven. She tallied every pebble, quartz, agate, flint, gneiss. She recognized each magpie, osprey, lark, and raven. The towering stag came to her hand, calm as any sheep. Salmon leapt against her palm. Bears nuzzled at her feet. Babies gurgled in her presence. Lying men blushed deep. Young mother's milk flowed faster, richer, more sweet. The Kaliak was her title, but her people called her hag. She wore no crown, no jewels bold, no cloth of golden thread, bore a staff of elderwood and wore a homespun rag, walked moor and field and crag and bog with silent barefoot tread. At home her cauldron simmered slow upon a stony hearth where no one dared to stir the pot for fear of the evil eye. Healthy bairns tumbled soft against the hard-packed earth, but only daughters lived full span. Sons of the Kaliak were raised to die. The land demanded sacrifice to turn its seasons round. The Kaliak paid a heavy price in kingly sons and proud, brewed their limbs, cooked their blood, and poured it on the ground. Gross! Walked the fields, strewed the bones, but never, not once, cried aloud. 10,000 generations passed as the Kaliak kept this right. Wild oxen calved, the house dogs whelped. Each year produced a crop. One day she heard a baby's mew, faint with thirst and fright, found it naked, starving, and alone upon the mountaintop. Blonde babe as fair as she was dark, blue eyes to snapping black. Hag raised the girl child, bore her back to join the nursing brood. Of all the cubs that suckled her paps, Bridget showed most knack for following her mother's need, matching mood for mood. The Kaliak taught her secret paths and passes through the sharp peaks, wet places where the wild herbs grow and roe deer bend to drink. She darked the fairy skin with stain, dressed her in wool breeches, disguised the beauty of the girl, golden, cream, and pink. But Bridget's brother was not kin. He spied her at her bath. Boys are going to do that kind of thing. Passion broke a lifetime's bond in just a single hour. He pressed his suit, revealed his fate, dared the mother's wrath. Long before the moon arose, he forced her love to flower. Foster daughter stole the cauldron. She stirred it as they fled. Fog rolled from the broth that she spilled, thick, drab, and shrouding mist. The Kaliak followed, close at hand. Rage turned her black eyes red. She badgered them with spitting sleet and brilliant lightning twists. Bride whistled up a blinding curse that hardened the hag to stone, settled with her lover Angus, changed more to plough-tamed country. Without its queen, wild land grew dim, abandoned, alone. Without its blood, the earth grew bare, refusing its bounty. Nature needs its wilderness. Barbaric, savage, bleak, unbroken woman, feral man, their wanton roaming child. Where's our roaming child? Unfurrowed prairie, standing grove, boisterous, roiling creek, independent, never found housebroken or beguiled. So bride, the Bridget, whistled backward to release the stone-bound hag. The crone hissed at the maid. She howled. They cried, moving towards reason. The substitute for blood, a heart of ox or stag, maiden to rejoin crone in spring and summer season. We still call out bride's name when Imbolc draws near, to pull her from her lover's bed out into the field, to charge the land with tenderness, revive what's cold and sere, call up green shoots, redden buds to bring us fruitful yield. An old tale retold, this cycle of the viciousness of an untamed wilderness and what is lost when it is lost. There is a need for wildness in the land, friends, around us and about us. This is why we keep and must maintain wild spaces in this country, and they would appear to be under attack, aren't they?
Yeah.
But wildness goes deeper than this, friends. It is also a thing we must maintain within ourselves, too, a bit. And we'll talk about this a bit later, but are we not animals? Are we not primates, great apes? Endowed with reason, able to parse, to speak, to communicate, and yet still, what part of us, friends, have we kept locked away beneath the ice of purity and perfection? What are we keeping locked away? This I would call you to consider as we move into our next piece, because it's almost time for a little walk, right?
It is. So we had originally said we were going to take about 45 minutes. Part of the service is a wandering piece where you kind of go and get to know the land. The land is frozen, cold, and icy at the moment. So 45 minutes seems a bit excessive. So we're going to go ahead and do this on 15 minutes. So it's just kind of an invitation. There's some paths. You can also stay. I have noticed pine cones and sticks and not flowers.
There's plenty of stuff to make snow people with.
Yeah, you can make snow people. So we had a kind of an activity for nature mandalas to make with like little twigs and pine cones and things like that. So you could do something like that. It's just a call to be in community with the park and nature. And so we'll take about 15 minutes. When we would have 45 minutes, I am a dork, so I really wanted to call us back with a coyote howl, so I'm kind of sad we can't do that.
Why can't we?
Well, if it's only 15 minutes, then we'll get very far.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm doing it anyway.
You can't stop me now.
Don't stop me now. I'm gonna do my coyote howl. Okay, I'm done. Anyway, yeah, so at the 15 minutes, we will howl you back. I'm so excited. Because honestly, there's also something incredibly cathartic about just letting out a loud noise. It is fun.
Friends.
It feels good. And so at 15 minutes when it's time to come back, we will call you back. If you decide at this moment that you're like, 15 minutes is still too much, I'm cold, just let us know so we don't worry about you. So yeah, you are invited to find a way to fulfill yourself for 15 minutes. We have...
I'm gonna be here playing music, so you're welcome to
and
sit
this
and hang
one's
out
my
too.
wild animal.
But go deliberately, friends, and notice things around you. We'll come back and reflect some later.
Yes, we will come back and reflect and bring stories back and do a little sharing session.
That's okay.
I was here. I was talking to Cass. Yeah, I hadn't seen her yet today. So
This is as good a spot as any. Wonderful, friends. Everything, Cass, you saw? Notice?
I honestly, I went over to this little these little trees over here and made my way through the branches because it feels like there's a little doorway and there's like a secret like a secret palace inside. Because I'm still 10 years old, so I went over there and just enjoyed that for a minute. And I've loved watching like the water dripping from the trees and the light catching them as it's going down. So, yeah. So that's what I did today.
The world offers itself to your imagination. That's what Mary Oliver says. I reckon that's true. You know, there's the line of reason, there's the line of imagination, and imagination is the realm where faith happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the place where we can discern and discover what has us. Also, we can be seated, friends. Feel free to stand if you want to, but you don't have to. Oh, and Jay and I went picking up trash. We found some really interesting trash. People throw away all kinds of things, and you're like,
Do you want me to hold that so it's not in the snow?
I would love that.
Absolutely.
I would love that. And that's what this is about, friends. It's about directly connecting with the more than human world. With the world outside the city, even if we are still in the city, finding a way to rewild our hearts a little bit. You know, it is so easy to forget that we are enfolded within nature. Nature isn't a thing that's out, I mean, we're in it now, but it's not a thing that's outside, even like your house. From a certain perspective, we can think about everything exists within the fold of nature. In fact, nothing exists outside of nature. This isn't how we often use this term, but I think it can be a useful way to think about it, because when we think about it like that, I think we can take a little bit more accountability for what humanity does within nature, how our artifacts affect nature, how our laws and policies and rules and ideas and religions and all kinds of things, it is all connected, friends. Through in our Unitarian Universalist Church, we actually recognize the interconnected web of life, which all things are a part. And I think here, in any kind of spiritual endeavor, what that luminary of our tradition, Mark Morrison Reed, said is the central task in the religious community, which I think we're just getting to know one another, but this is a religious community, is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all, and not just people to people, but people to bird and to tree and to star and to tear, all of it interconnected. Give me 1 second, friends. I'm working with High Tech here today. It doesn't always cooperate. So here,
I'm going to give you the
I
guitar.
love that.
There you go. Like,
A poem, friend. Under that figure of the Kalia, old crone, right? So reviled. And how often we turn nature into something to be tamed, something to be locked down, to be marketed, to be sold. What wrath hath time worn hard into the soul, ice hanging fingers, nails of mountain stone, unbearably alone that grey sky, cold air, hair frost and lost to despair, who would not crash in rage at the sense of one more fair? A bride of gold reminds of time untold, forgotten and forgetting. Or does every season bleed into the next? Is the circle not unbroken? Do we yet still fall around a sacred fire? Hair becomes you, Mother Winter, old and splintered, and now comes a time of loosened knots, falling tresses. Come, let them play. It will never be safe enough to let the flowers rise. Delicate and real, yet feel and be they must, as dust will fly and shoots arise, for perfect love and perfect trust. The thaw is upon us. Maybe your feet are wet too, friends. I don't know about you, but my socks are soaked. Winter has truly come, and now it has gone, and the wheel of the year, as I mentioned before, observed by many pagan and earth-centered communities, we would find ourselves in the time of Ostara, the equinox, and very little is known about this time. Some etymological connections to Easter, or Eoster, or Eos, who is a goddess of the dawn. We know this much, we have a name, and that is all. So that's why I decided to talk a bit more about Imbolc today, because there is a solid story there. The spring is upon us. So if Imbolc is about the anticipation of the spring's arrival, the word literally means from the Old Gaelic, in the belly. In the belly of what? Like a pregnant cow, like a seed in the earth, like something in anticipation of becoming more, of nourishing itself and rising and growing. And Imbolc is that anticipation, and Ostara is something like the triumph of spring. We need to take what wins we can these days, friends. The spring did come, and I'm not going to say it's not going to snow again because I'm not a prophet.
and this is Nebraska.
Spring is here. Yes, this is Nebraska. Nope, no one knows. No one knows the hour. This is Nebraska on climate change. This is Nebraska
That part.
on climate change. That's right. But the anticipation of seasons does require a kind of faith. Oftentimes we think about faith as a thing you put in your pocket and just have, like, I'm a this or I'm a that. I would encourage y'all, especially here in regarding to this, no matter how or what you believe, what roots you, maybe faith can be what has you. What is it that has you? That has you? People have faith in all kinds of things. Faith has them too. People believe that the endless pursuit of wealth will liberate them from some kind of cycle, from some kind of want, and yet they find themselves terribly alone and desperate, disconnected from their own humanity, denatured. There is a wound to this. Not all faiths are worth having or chasing. So a simple faith, one that can hold us. And I believe one source for many folks in common. We may not all think alike, but we all are here on this planet, right? We are all here as one creature, one species, realizing ourselves. Like Carl Sagan said, that great luminary of reason, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. This is true. I would say we are a way for the earth to experience itself, to feel itself, to know itself, to love itself. Robin Wall Kimmerer asks, who's an indigenous botanist, wrote Breeding Sweetgrass. She asked her students once, do you love the earth? And of course, these are all botanists, so of course they love the earth. And I imagine you're here in the snow with me, you probably love the earth too. But I'm going to give you a second to think on this yourself, friends. Does the earth love you back? Does the earth love you back? Personally, as a whole?
Why, yes.
Yeah. hold that in your heart for a second, friends. No. I think one could structure that the earth does indeed love us back, and not in a human way. We use that word love, we throw it around as a thing we buy and sell, put it in a card, put it on a box of chocolates. Love isn't simply a thing that you have either. It is the intensities of life, friend. It is the passion of matter coming together. All things change. All things change. In a time such as this, when we're facing such monolithic, wicked problems as climate change, as authoritarianism rising here and abroad, as wars raging, swords clashing, people dying, what do we do? What do you do? There is no one answer. That's why we call it a wicked problem. It's not something that you can point a finger at, poke, and it's gone. It's not a balloon you can pop. It's a thing we disentangle together. And so, it's vital that we have some way to rest and restore ourselves in that moment. And the world can be that for us, because indeed, I reckon the world does love us back, friends. It loves us in a more than human way. It loves us with the old alignment of orbits, of spheres in space, rocking around one another over eons, that the world doesn't stay frozen forever or baking forever, but it's in this intermediary where life is possible, where change happens. I think a great deal of our problems, friends, comes from the pursuit of purity or perfection, or some kind of static whole. You all know this, I talk about this a lot, that perfection and purity are death. Stasis is death. Life is alive, and life is messy. Love is like this too. We have to move, but we don't need to run right yet. I think if we rush, if we rage, if we forget that we are connected to other people, that we are not superheroes alone, but we are together, then we might be able to root ourselves in something deeper, to survive, to live on into the next day, and the day after that, to leave something worth leaving behind for our children and our children's children. And all things are still changing, friends, bit by bit, day by day. I invite you to consider the love that the planet has for you, the more than human love, the love that's truly bigger than you. You might understand that to be God, and that is perfectly valid. You might understand it to just be chemistry, and that's also equally valid, because change underscores life. Octavia Butler, that lauded black feminist science fiction author, brilliant, wrote in Earthseed something of a manifesto. She says, change. Everything you touch, you change. Everything you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. God is change. The fundamental force of our reality, of our life, is that things will change. Stars distant from here will explode, their light a ghost in the sky, seeding new possibilities for whole new worlds to be born, y'all. This is happening all of the time. Even within you, your bones, friends, these things that hold your body together, are new approximately every 7 years as your body uses itself, is nourished by itself, osteoblast and osteoclast, coming in and out, using calcium for all kinds of things to maintain your homeostasis. Your bones are new every 7 years. Nothing is really static forever, and that can be kind of scary sometimes, because we want something firm and rooted to rest ourselves in. Rest yourself in this, friends. The sun will rise again. One day, a long time from now, it won't, but tomorrow it will. Tomorrow there will be a new opportunity. The days will be a little bit longer. We can rest ourselves in this. Hopefully next time we gather, there will be more friends here. You can rest yourself in that. Rest yourself in something larger than yourself, friends. God, love, change. It's yours. It is your birthright. And like I said, doesn't the sun always come back
Does.
once and for all? Let's say we sing a little song for the sun. Maybe it'll hear us. It probably won't, but it'll be good for us nonetheless. And I reckon y'all know this one.
comes the sun. It's alright. The sun, here comes the sun. It's alright. Darling, the sun,
Mom,
here comes the sun.
when are we going to do another activity?
What's that cool bridge part?
Little darling, the sun, here comes the sun. It's alright.
I want this next activity. I want one more activity. An activity.
Prophetic church, people gathered of all faiths, backgrounds, beliefs, ideas, this world, this great big, wide, blue-green jewel we call our home, awaits your liberating ministry. Let's go from this place and be fools for love, y'all, pilgrims for justice, and until we meet again, maybe rock, roll, and move towards that spirit of beloved community on the horizon. Go in peace, drive safely, stay warm. I'm going to go get a new pair of socks. Not yet.
Oh no, buddy. He just wants another activity. He's so excited.
Friends, quick announcement. What?
What did you say?
Well, bold. I added.
Forest. More details will be in the event, and also there is, well, it's actually in here. If anyone wants to join the email list, so you know when there's changes or updates, there is a QR code that has a registration in here. I can get it out, and you can. Otherwise, that registration will also be on. There's the new Facebook page for Wild Worship Omaha, so it has its own Facebook page, as well as Instagram page. So that'll go up on there as well if you want to be a part of the email list or get more information. We will be planning one each month through the end of the year. So I just don't have all the locations ironed out yet. So
Okay. Fontenelle Forest does have an admission fee, but if you find yourself needing help with that, reach out to your organizers. We'll figure something out for you. So don't let that be a barrier.
yeah, let us know.
And invite your friends, y'all. This isn't evangelizing. We're trying to have a good time here and connect to something bigger than ourselves. So do invite a friend. And that's all we have, friends.